Well, hello, everybody. I know we usually like to be upbeat and funny and silly on here, but there was a very, very serious accident that happened this week. All in the UPS family, and as most of you guys know, there was a devastating plane crash down at Worldport in Louisville, Kentucky. Right now, the number as we're recording tonight is up to 12 people that were dead. 3 souls were on board that flight from Kentucky to Honolulu, Hawaii. And so we just wanted to come on here and, talk about this. Obviously, it affects all of us that work for this company and everything. So, I mean, real quick, I'll just go over, what we know so far. As of right now, they're saying that the left engine detached from the plane on takeoff. And the plane climbed to about 200 and 250 feet at a speed of 185 knots, it says, which is a typical speed and at that speed and for the altitude as well. And they say the remaining 2 engines could have supported and continued to climb if they were undamaged. But they think from the separation from the first engine that parts of the plane got sucked in to the nearby engine, causing that engine to fail.
Right.
And then obviously we all know what happened then. And so many different videos and photos coming out of this, and it's horrific. It's absolutely terrible.
It looked, when you see some still shots or even video, I mean, it literally looks like a bomb. Like it looks like a fire brigade is like people like. I think there was a few people that said that were there, witnessed it, said that like for a minute, like they felt like they were being attacked or didn't know what was going on. But yeah, like you said, devastating. It's tragic to. I mean, there's just times where you just really, I feel like things get put into perspective in a lot of ways. And it's just, now there's some more stuff that we know that we'll get into in a little bit that makes me think a little differently. Not really on the perspective part, but on the whole situation, which we'll talk about in a few. But it's just like, one of those things. I mean, as we're about a little over a month away from December 5th, when Frank Ordonez was killed, and it's just one of those things when it's a national like this, when it's like this, like Louisville is an international airport. The Worldport hub is the biggest hub we have in the country, I believe. It is one of those things where when it's something so bad that you like, it's something because of how the just UPS and the cardboard community is the reach that it has of so many people that are employed there, and people, not just UPSers but everybody, that it just, when something like that happens where, people, I mean, any loss of life is tragic, but when you look at the still shots and the images of it, and especially all the people, like, of how close some of those cars and stuff were, like that guy in the semi truck, and just, I don't know what the final casualty number will be, but it's incredible. I don't want to say, like, to say that number. You would see by just the photos in the enclosure that it would look. You would think it would be like way higher. Now that doesn't make it any easier on the families affected by this loss. So I don't like to put it in that. I don't like to put it that way. But there's things that I'd seen kind of in looking through this, and Dave has a little bit more information than me. But the model of this plane, they were saying, is that pilot. I guess apparently it was a maintenance, I don't want to say a quote unquote maintenance hassle, or had a lot of issues, and that's why that MD-11 or whatever it was mainly a cargo carrier, because it had to be repaired a lot. And dude, I want to say this before we get going, because this has been on my mind, and it since it just had happened, it bothers me to think that with, just a few days ago, or well, I guess it was about a week ago now, when UPS announced the quarterly earnings statement, and we had talked about it a little bit last week on the 48,000 jobs that were been gone over time, and how in a lot of articles that was looked at as a positive for investors and stock prices and stuff. And then, a few days later, something like this, happens, where the pilot and the workers, I think there was 3 or 4 on the plane, 3, I believe, from what I'm.
3, yeah.
I don't know if I haven't heard if they're added in that number of other people that are gone or not, because I've heard different things that they weren't included in that. I don't know if that's true, but their final moments of probably trying their best to get control of this thing, to try to avert it, to to try to do as less damage as, whatever moments you feel in that situation, you're done. And it's just like, I can't help but I keep thinking of that fucking headline, and I'm just like, it made you put people as numbers, and it's like, they're not fucking numbers now, are they? Because these are human beings that I don't know if they had families, or they came from a family. I'm sure some of them, if not all of them, had kids, or and man, it just makes me fucking not. I just don't like. I hate that fucking. I just don't like the way some things just get worded, and then something like this happens, and it's like, I don't know. It really gets me, man. And I could fucking rant about that, but that's not what this is about. There's still, this is still pretty fresh, and there's more to unfold. But I mean,
it's so like one thing too, which is kind of crazy. So they said after it crashed, the fire from that spread at about a half mile, and it climbed enough altitude to clear the fence at the end of the runway, and it's the one thing too, which is just crazy, is that there are reports saying that this 34-year-old plane was in the hangar for service for a month and a half for repairs. And I don't know if this part's true or not, but I did read somewhere that that was its 3rd flight of the day. And so, it came straight out of the repair, it came straight out of the repair shop, this past Monday. goes for its flights on Tuesday, and then this happens. So is there like, and I know that's what they'll probably be spending most of their time researching and trying to figure out, looking back in the past month and a half and what was going on with this plane and what was being repaired.
Well, that's what however long it sits and getting repaired, I don't know the two previous flights that plane had made, but that flight that it was going for was a fucking 4,300 mile flight to Honolulu. So, like, dude, that isn't like a fucking dude. That's
not a walk in the park,
dude. Yeah, you're going like halfway around the fucking world, and that because that's like you just. Like people were saying, like, why, you have to have the thing fueled to the max for that trip. So that's obvious why, like with that explosion and how, like, because that thing, it hadn't even took off yet. So there was however many thousands of gallons of fuel in that thing, jet fuel nonetheless. So yeah, dude, that shit, that seems odd to like, dude, it's like, with it you would think, and man, I don't like that. Like this is I don't have any evidence of this because I don't know enough about the aviation side of how this works. But dude, we've joked about trucks. Like Bobby used to have that old segment, okay for service, like with package cars, like. How, dude, I'm just saying with airplanes, dude, FAA, all that shit, you just would assume that all that is obviously to a way, way higher standard than what we've, laughed about with our trucks at times. But it just seems that's like what for 3 flights for about to be on a 4,300 mile flight to that long of a flight in a plane. I'm assuming 34 years old is pretty fucking old for a aircraft to be running.
Sounds like it, right?
Yeah. I mean, it's not like this thing's a 2012. And at this point, it's fucking 13 years ago. So, I mean, I don't know, man. It's that part. I didn't know that till you told me right before we recorded, and then that made me. That's kind of why I came in there a little more pissed off with that numbers part, because I was thinking about that, and I mean, yeah, there's going to be more to unfold, I would say, but as far from what I've said with the engine falling out, they said that would rip fuel lines, the parts of the plane getting sucked in. Like you were saying, that all makes pretty, that makes sense to me, right, to why they weren't able to take off.
Right. So to put it, the plane had 2 single engines on the left and right side of the wing, and then it had a center engine on the back, up top there, and on the tail. And so they were saying if the left engine fell off, debris flames were shooting into the center engine on the tail, and then causing that engine to fail, to stall, and then it just couldn't keep climbing.
So, like, had that not fallen, but I guess because like what I saw when it was on fire, like from the one angle, where I don't like, had that have been on. Like that, if had that engine, that they said they still could have made that flight if that engine, right, like it would have supported like all the way over 4,000 miles. Damn.
Well, I don't know about all the way, but I mean those planes
like,
are
not to where they would have to make an emergency made landing.
Right. It should have still been able to get up into the air and just continue to climb its altitude. But man, it says, They say it's been confirmed that the aircraft was grounded for repairs from September 3rd to mid-October to address a fuel tank crack, potentially related to corrosion.
Corrosion because it's fucking an old airplane, more than likely. Right. It sounds like.
Yeah. So.
I mean, that definitely is not a good look. And moving forward, I think they are going to have to they'll have to, I don't like the fact of hearing a term about like a plane that has maintenance issues so much that it gets moved to a cargo flight, because that makes me think like it just is like, is it not is I know it'd be more of the delays because people on flights obviously there's way more people involved in like delays and all that, like that part I get, but it feels like it's like all this has maintenance issues, so let's just make it a cargo flight. Like you feel like you want all your airplanes, like it makes it sound like a downgrade, and it's like, well, they're not going to have a lot of passengers on this, so we'll make it a cargo flight. Like that shit. I hate that I fucking think so cynical like that, but damn, I can't help but think like when you hear that from people that were, and if that's true, I don't 100% know that's true. So I'm not, as Dave, as we've put on every episode, a lot of this, we're reading stuff as we've seen it and stuff we're trying to keep as much confirmed, just like everything else. This is, especially how I've started this out, it's strictly, that's just opinion on a lot of things, but it's corrosion. Yeah, that sounds like, that's obviously when something's old and been around for a while. And that's with anything. So,
yeah.
Whew, man.
Yep. So, we just wanted to come on here and just talk about this. And, like I said in the beginning, it's something that affects all of us. We are all here, a part of the UPS family, and we give our condolences and thoughts and prayers to all the families involved, friends and families, loved ones, everybody down there at Worldport, and Louisville. So,
yeah, I think, God, I forgot the number. I saw a number of people employed there. I mean, it's well into the thousands. I think it's in the 5-figure range. So a lot of people work down there, and I mean, I'm sure that would be a tough thing to come. I mean, that would talk about having some fucking PSD from something, man. I just like, and I don't know. It just seems, I guess it's not with like, I've flown a lot, but like I can't remember the only airports I can consistently, like I've been to Jacksonville and I've been to Pittsburgh a lot. And it also seemed like that run, like it seemed like the runways and shit did it seem like they were like kind of just there, like right in the middle, like there's other businesses along. It just seemed like it was awful, like close. And I can't say that like just close to shit, but the airports I've been to, it seems like dude, there's nothing there. Like when you go to the Pittsburgh airport, you got like a fucking gas station and shit that you can go to on the way out with like a convenience store in it, but like there's nowhere. You know what I mean? It just seems.
I mean,
like,
I know what you mean, but it's like I think about like New York City airports. You know, and or even Atlanta when I went down to Atlanta once.
See, I drove to Atlanta. I never went to the Atlanta airport.
There's stuff everywhere. Highways surrounding it, everything, businesses. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess that's true. This is coming from, like I said, the only two I've really been
all
to
depends
a lot.
on the area. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's a good point. That's a good point.
So, yeah. I don't have anything else to say, buddy.
I just, like we said, for everybody, the people that were lost and, the people everybody that were affected by this just is, it's one of those things like you said, we just wanted to reach out and with our condolences and, keeping everybody in their prayers. And man, it just, there's not a lot that we didn't really know. It was something that we were going to have to address, and we thought it would be best to, it's just one of those things that it's not a topic in a podcast episode. It was a real tragedy that is fucking terrible. And we just wanted to, come on and reach out. 'Cause I know there's a lot of people thinking about it. And we're all, like you said, it affects all of us. There really isn't, there's not too much more to say with it. Just, we're thinking about you in Louisville, and we'll just, there's not, like I said, it's just so fresh, man. You can't say move forward yet. It's still too fresh, man. I can't there's still people missing. So that's not the right words to say, but
yep.
We love you, Louisville.
Yep. And, guys, just, it's crazy that it takes something like this to say stuff like to this extent, but like, hug your loved ones a little extra, every day. And 'cause you never know, tomorrow's not always promised. And, especially even with the job that we do, even out there on the road too. So,
right.
Guys, stay safe out there. All right. We'll be back Monday with a new episode. We'll see you guys then.
Later, everybody.